the silence before the storm. It's a paradox, a whisper of anticipation that screams louder than any roar. In the NBA, these are the moments etched not just into history, but into the very fabric of human memory. These are the seconds when time itself seems to warp, when the fate of an entire season, a championship dream, or a legacy hangs precariously on the arc of a rapidly departing ball. These are the dangerous buzzer beaters, shots so profound, so devastating, they leave an indelible scar on the vanquished and an everlasting halo around the victor. Imagine the scene, a basketball arena, a crucible of passion and noise, now hushed to an almost sacrilegious degree. The game clock dwindles to its final, precious ticks. The score is tied, or a single point separates triumph from despair. Every eye in the building, and millions more watching from screens around the globe, is locked onto the player with the ball. His hands grip the leather orb as if it were the universe itself. The air crackles with an electricity so potent it feels like thunder waiting to strike. This isn't just a shot, it's a declaration, an execution, a moment where the ordinary becomes a legendary, and the impossible suddenly seems inevitable. One of the earliest, and perhaps the most iconic, of these dangerous dagger blows came on May 7th, 1989. The stage was set in Richfield Coliseum, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference First Round, between the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The series was tied 2-2, making this a winner-take-all contest. With 3 seconds left, Cleveland's Craig Ello had just banked in a layup, putting the Cavaliers up by 1 point, 199. The crowd erupted, believing victory was theirs. They hadn't accounted for the nascent legend, Michael Jordan. The inbound pass came to Jordan near midcourt. He dribbled quickly to his right, Ello shadowing him, a desperate hand reaching, trying to impede his path. Jordan drove a few steps into the key, then rose. It wasn't just a jump, it was an ascent, a levitation against the force of gravity and the weight of expectation. He hung in the air, suspended for what felt like an eternity, his eyes locked on the rim. Ello, having followed him, leaped too, his body contorting, arm outstretched, a futile attempt to disrupt the inevitable. Jordan, meanwhile, adjusted his body mid-air, a balletic maneuver, pulling the ball back slightly, creating just enough space. The shot left his fingertips, a perfect, elegant arc against the stark white of a backboard. The horn blade, a piercing shriek signifying the end of the game, even as the ball was still in flight. For a fraction of a second, the entire arena held its breath. Then, a swish. The net rippled, a soft, almost imperceptible sound lost amidst the sudden, crushing silence from the Cleveland faithful and the erupting screams from the Bulls bench. Jordan landed, punched the air, and then launched into an iconic, jubilant leap, his fist pumping as he celebrated a victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. For Cleveland, the image of Jordan's shot and his celebration became a recurring nightmare, a brutal reminder of a dream deferred, a wound that would fester for years. This wasn't just a shot. It was a shot, a statement of intent from a player who would soon redefine greatness, and a devastating blow that still echoes in the annals of NBA heartbreak. 15 years later, in the Western Conference semifinals, another moment of utter disbelief unfolded. May 13th, 2004, Game 5, between the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs, series tied 2-2. The Lakers, up by 1, watched in horror as Tim Duncan hit an impossible, off-balance fadeaway jumper with just 0.4 seconds left on the clock. The Spurs bench exploded. The home crowd in San Antonio roared. Victory seemed secured. It was a shot that would be celebrated for years, if not for what happened next. Lakers coach Phil Jackson called a timeout. The strategy was simple, yet seemingly impossible. Get a shot off in less than half a second. Kobe Bryant inbounded the ball, a darting pass to Derek Fisher, who was curled up near the three-point line. Fisher caught it, turned, and in one fluid, impossibly quick motion, launched a shot over the outstretched arm of Manu Ginobili. The ball left his hand as a red light flashed around the backboard, signaling the end of the game. The shot soared, a desperate prayer from an impossible angle. It arced high, kissed the glass, and then, with a soft whisper, dropped through the net. Swish! The silence was deafening, a collective gasp from 18,000 people. Then, pure bedlam from the Lakers, utter shock and despair from the Spurs. Fisher, a role player often overshadowed by his superstar teammates, had delivered a blow so sudden, so unexpected, it left the Spurs utterly bewildered. They had celebrated, had almost tasted victory, only to have it ripped away by a fraction of a second in a moment of pure, audacious genius. The game was over. The Lakers won, and the Spurs were left to wonder how a victory so sure could evaporate so completely. It was a dangerous shot not just for its difficulty, but for its sheer, mind-bending speed and its power to snatch triumph from the jaws of what seemed like certain defeat. LeBron James, a player often compared to Jordan, has delivered his own share of so soul-crushing buzzer beaters. One particularly dangerous example came on May 22nd, 2009, in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Orlando Magic. The Magic had surprisingly won Game 1 in Cleveland, putting immense pressure on the Cavaliers to avoid going down 0-2 at home. With 1 second remaining, the Magic led 95-93. Hedo Turkoglu had just made a jumper, seeming to seal the game. The Cavaliers called a timeout. The inbound pass from Mo Williams sailed high towards LeBron James, who was being tightly guarded by Turkoglu. LeBron caught the ball at the top of the key, took a single, powerful dribble to his left, creating just enough space, and then elevated. Turkoglu was draped all over him, a hand waving frantically, desperately trying to contest the shot. But LeBron, with his incredible strength and focus, rose above him, seemingly impervious to the pressure, the noise, the entire weight of the series resting on his shoulders. The shot left his hand just as the clock expired, a soaring missile towards a basket. The collective breath of the Cleveland faithful was held tight, a knot of hope and fear in their chests. Then the net billowed. Swish! The arena erupted, a cacophony of joy and relief so powerful it felt like the very foundations of the building shook. LeBron was mobbed by his teammates, a roar of triumph echoing through the building. For the Magic, it was a gut punch, a brutal reminder that even a 2-point lead with 1 second left against a player like LeBron was never safe. Their hard-fought victory was snatched away, the series tied, and their confidence shaken. It was a dangerous shot, not just for the points it delivered, but for the psychological blow it inflicted, a clear statement that LeBron would not yield easily. Perhaps the most agonizingly suspenseful of all dangerous buzzer beaters came on May 12, 2019. Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. Toronto Raptors versus Philadelphia 76ers. The stakes could not have been higher. Winner advances to the conference finals, loser goes home. The game was tied 90-90. With 4.2 seconds remaining, the Raptors had possession. The ball went to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi dribbled the ball patiently, steadily, moving to his right wing, the clock ticking down. Joel Embiid, the towering 76ers center, switched onto him, his long arms and formidable presence attempting to intimidate. Kawhi backed down, dribbled, pivoted, and then, with the clock flashing red, released a high-arching fadeaway jump shot from the corner, right over Embiid's outstretched hand. The shot left his hand, a prayer, a desperate plea for salvation. The horn sounded. The ball hit the front rim. Then it bounced. Once. The entire world held its breath. It bounced again. Twice. A collective gasp. A third bounce. 3 times. The tension was unbearable. A silent scream hanging in the air. A 4th bounce. 4 times. Each bounce felt like a lifetime, an eternity stretching out, prolonging the agony for one side, the desperate hope for the other. Then, with a soft, almost shy whisper, the ball tumbled through the net. Swish! The Scotiabank Arena erupted in an explosion of pure, unadulterated joy. Kawhi crouched in the corner, his face betraying no emotion, just a primal roar from his gut, his teammates rushing to embrace him. Embiid, meanwhile, was inconsolable, tears streaming down his face as he watched the ball complete its torturous journey. It was a shot that broke hearts in Philadelphia and unleashed an entire nation's euphoria in Canada. It wasn't just dangerous. It was agonizing, a slow-motion knife twisting in the gut, a moment of destiny that literally bounced its way into legend. This shot was a catalyst for the Raptors' improbable championship run, a moment of pure, unadulterated suspense that made it one of the most unforgettable and dangerous buzzer beaters in NBA history. These are more than just game winners. They are narratives compressed into a single, breathtaking moment. They are testaments to human will, skill, and the often cruel hand of fate. The dangerous buzzer beater is a sudden, definitive declaration that reverberates beyond the scoreboard, shaping legacies, fueling rivalries, and forever altering the emotional landscape of those who witness them. They remind us that in the game of basketball, as in life, triumph and tragedy can often be separated by the smallest fraction of time and the faintest touch of a ball against a net. And we, the fans, stand ever ready, heart pounding, for the next electrifying silence, the next devastating swish.